if you count the unemployed, people who are underemployed, plus the unemployment people, it's about 25%. West Point guarantees a job for him after he graduates. I just became a citizen less than 3 years ago. I'll be so proud for him to go to West Point. He'll be the son of a foreigner who came to this country. I don't have family here. He's the only one I have. All my family is in Venezuela. That's the reason why I dedicated to them. He's the only thing I have in this country. So what happened is I have to give him that guidance. But at the end, he will decide where to go. I have never taken him to a game of a university. Now, it's not that I am against that. If you want to take your kid to a university game, that's great. But the truth is, Paul, that every university in this country has a department which are good at. Take your kid to that department too. Take him and say, look, we're going to go to Chapel Hill. They have a great medicine school. Let's go and visit the school. Let's go visit the medicine school. So he'll be exposed to that. Because at this age is how much he's exposed. Now, if you're exposed to drugs, smoking and drinking, there's a 90% chance that in your lifetime, in your adult life, you will do that. You may not become an alcoholic, but in your lifetime, there's a 90% chance that you will do that. Now, if he's exposed to a game where there's 90,000 people playing for a university, he'll be attracted to that. So my case, I make him attracted to West Point, to Harvard, to Yale. That's my point. And the other table that I brought in, it basically shows the top 10 universities, the top 10 university coaches in football, how much money they make. You're talking about the one in Mike Brown in Texas, $11 million. In Alabama, $10 million. Oklahoma, LSU, Ohio, all of them, these people make more money than the president of the university. And I want him to be aware of that. That's all. So, but I want him to make this show about him. Tell him about the letter you wrote, Papa.
Oh, I'm in an AIG class. It's a special class for math kids.
Oh, okay.
And we had to write a letter to our favorite author. And it was a letter to your favorite author, and you had to write like about 500 words in it. And I had written to an author named Seymour Simon. He does a lot with animals. And I had sent it in to my teacher, and she had, because it was for a contest, and she had sent it there. And 59,000 people in the whole USA entered that contest, and I was a semi-finalist in the contest.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
What inspired you to want to write something of that nature?
It just came to me because I really love sharks, and at the beach I always look for shark tooths, and I was trying to figure out who to write with because I love a lot of books, but that was one of the ones that touched me, and I just decided to write about it.
How important is it to have your father in your life as he's going through the support that he's providing to you? Because there's a lot of children that don't have that father figure in their lives. So how important is that to you?
It's very important because, he's the one that gives me guidance. He tells me, he'll help me in life. And, you only have one of them. So, you might as well use them.
And it's a great thing to have a father that really cares about your well-being.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have friends that may possibly not have their fathers in their life?
Yeah, and I feel really bad for them, because, most of them kids are the ones that get picked on, and I feel really bad for them.
And that's where we get in as far as the males getting more involved into our youth and guiding them, especially the way how your father's doing yourself, because there are a lot of young man in our community who lacks that guidance from individuals like your father and myself, who who has a caring heart, and care for the welfare. And because we all have been through things in our life, and we can teach. Knowledge is very important.
One of the things that I plan to do with him, planning to go to Harvard, to visit Harvard. The beauty of Boston is that Boston has several schools. It's a very small city, and they have a lot of schools. They have Boston University, they have Brandeis University, they have MIT, and they have Harvard. MIT is right next to Harvard. It's like next to each other. That's one of my goals before he graduates from high school. Another goal is to take him to Annapolis, to visit the Naval Academy. Okay. And another goal is to take him to the Air Force in Colorado. So those are guidance. At the end, he will decide where to go. But one thing is that those places that I'm taking him are the one they have the admission rate at 7-8%, which means that out of 100 students that apply to that, let's say out of 100 students apply to Yale University, only 8% get in. The Harvard only 6%, to MIT 10%, to Ohio State it's 68%. It's telling you how much revenue the school brings through the sport. That's what it's telling you. MIT obviously do not make any money through a sport. The stadium is so small that the high school in Charlotte may be bigger than they have. But one thing is, what is interesting, Paul, is that all these institutions were created in the 1700s. There is this one institution that has been with us for hundreds of years. So they know exactly what they're doing. For example, the stadium in Georgia, they even wrote it, how they designed it to be what it is today. Back in 1925, 27, I think that's what they built the stadium. But it's planned to bring revenue through students, like my son, because he'll be exposed to those games. So that's one of the things that I'm trying to guide him where to go or not to go. So, there's another school that is called Deep Spring College. And this is a very interesting school. And I told him, and he said, do they have any baseball game? Do they have And I said, no. Deep Spring College is a university. They only have like 10 students. It's a big campus. I don't know how many acres there, but it's a big place. Only have 10 students. People who decide to get into that university is the student body. If you get into Deep Spring College, it's free. Think about that one. If you are able to get into this, you have to move there. It's in California. You have to move there, but if you can't get in, it's free. So what I'm trying to say is that with the economy the way it is, with the situation the way it is, we just had a presidential election just a few weeks ago. Now, we're talking about 2013. Right now, as we speak, we're talking about financial cliff. Now, how do they say they're going to avoid that? They're going to avoid it by cutting spending programs and raising taxes. Who is going to go hurt? We are. We are the middle class. Who have to pay more taxes? The middle class. Who benefited most of those programs? To the middle class. And I don't want him, when he graduates from the university, to owe money. And I told him this. And I'm kind of trying to inculcate, put these things in his brain. When you are financially okay, if you make poor financial decisions, you become more poor. When you are financially okay and you make great financial decisions, you become better just like that. Why? Because you were just doing just fine. And it's about I would have to say this about 30 million people in this country, which between the unemployed and the unemployed, their salary were cut at least 1/3. So think about the people who used to make 60,000, now they're making 40. So, and all I'm trying is to make him sure that he knows the Spanish, the Chinese. Think about this. If he's able to speak Chinese and Spanish, more than 2/3 of the language in the world are in those three languages. So that basically one of the reasons why I want him to be here. I want to expose him to this. If one day he'll remember this.
And also, I guess, as far as getting him acclimated to different languages, it gets him prepared for being global, being able to go to different countries, because there's employment in other areas, other countries and stuff, and those are other avenues that you may be able to have options too. You must be prepared for it.
Think about it. The United States only have less than 3% of the people in the world. That's all we have here. China have about 15% of the people in the world. And between China and India, the one speak Mandarin and the other one speak English. Between China and India, there's about 1/3 of the people in the world. Now, if you take India, China, and Latin America and the United States, he'll be able to communicate with anybody. And this will help him to get into West Point. Those are the kind of things I'm working on.
Okay, we're 3 minutes in the show. We must teach our kids that education at a university is an investment. Why is that important?
Because when
1 minute. Go ahead.
Because when he graduates with 30 million people unemployed, he won't be able to find a job as easy as we did in the 90s. So therefore, he will have to pay those loans. So it's an investment that he has to make sure he repays.
We're running out of time. I really appreciate Emilio, Jose Manjarres for coming on the show. Anytime you want to come back,
Thank you.
I'd be more
Oh,
honored
thank
to come
you.
back.
Such an honor.
Hey, you take over my spot. You say you're an anchor at your school. I would like to have you come and you can interview me. We'll get in touch. Ladies and gentlemen, you can watch this show on YouTube. Paul Brown Show with guests Emilio and Jose Manjarres. You be encouraged. Thank you.